We had everything: the job, the income, the security, the comfort, the life that from the outside probably looked like we had everything we could ever want. But on the inside, something felt off. God was stirring something within us that we just couldn't ignore. Not because something was wrong. In a lot of ways, it was because everything was right. And that's what made it so hard. Because when God calls you to move, He doesn't ask you to stay in your comfort zone, but rather, He calls you out of it. So we stepped out in faith, without knowing what came next. In this video, we're sharing the raw, unfiltered truth of what that looks like, what we're learning along the way, and what you need to know if you feel God calling you to step out in faith too.
You know what? But that's what I like about Morocco, is that it's not that it's dirty, but that it's not polished, like it's raw.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's not rough. It's just raw.
It's unpolished. It's raw.
It's when you're in Europe, it's like everything is so polished.
Yeah.
And there's beauty in that.
But here it's beautiful, but it's also dirty. It's a rough dirty.
It's a raw dirty.
I like the raw dirty. Okay. All right. Focusing.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back. It's Matt and Crystal here, and
Hello.
we are going to talk about why we're so crazy.
Yeah.
We're here in an RV park in Morocco, and we're going to talk about how we had everything we wanted in life, and we still walked away from it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I may be gripping onto this mic a little hard in this episode. We left everything.
A little bit of tension there. All right. So what did we have that made the decision look crazy from the outside? Catch them up. What do we do?
When you read this question to me, I thought of my mother. Like, she just, when I told her what we were doing, she was equally sets of excited and also like fear, like in her eyes, you know? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's probably like the unfelt feelings of like that. Wow. I hadn't yet like spoken out loud, but she was sort of like this, to have financial stability, to not want for anything in terms of like the physical, materialistic things, and to, from the outside looking in, it's like, what are you guys doing? You have teenagers.
Oh my gosh.
They're in a few years, they're going off to college.
Wow.
I mean, all the things that like just anybody would like shake their head.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
You left everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we had, everything's relative, right? So if you got a good job, it's a good job for you, right? Because nothing is, universal, right? There's always somebody ahead, somebody behind. But for where we were in life, we kind of had our dream job.
Yeah, and you're still really good at it.
Yeah.
Like it plays to your natural strengths too.
Yeah.
And being upward mobile, like it just,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, it was kind of like you're kind of like the upward trajectory of your career. You're right at that point where it's like, okay, everything's in front of you.
Yeah.
And then you just say, you know what?
Plot twist.
Let's do something different.
Yeah. I think that's actually what I told my mom in a conversation. And I was like, we're doing it for the plot twist. Like, even if it all goes to,
no matter what.
It, like whenever you read a good story, there's always a plot twist.
Do you have a good story of your life?
Yeah.
Right? Think about it. You only live once.
That's right.
And everything's predictable and everything's charted.
Yes.
Are you really living into all of what you're created to become?
Yeah, like this audaciousness. And I think there could literally be a pause for all of us to ponder and to sit on. We only get one life.
Wow.
One.
Wow. And when you look at like the scriptures,
do it dirty.
do it dirty in Morocco.
That is literally
there's lots of dirt here. You got to be always washing your hands and stuff.
Yeah.
There's lots of feral cats.
You just have to do it. Don't do it perfect.
Do it messy.
Do it messy.
Yeah.
Like it just has to just
Yeah.
do it. And it has not been easy, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
So let's.
But like
maybe-
thinking about the scriptures, right? When you look at, the patriarchs in the Bible, like Abraham, right?
Yeah.
It's like the predictable path would have been, hey, you got a good job, you're established, you've got property, you got
Roots.
land. You know what? You just stay there and,
Yes.
just do good things.
Yes.
But God's like, no, no, no. I'm calling you to leave this place and go to a land not your own.
Wow.
And it's like sometimes the journey of faith is not what looks right from the world's perspective, but it's what you sense God calling in your heart. And
That's
that's
good.
unique for each of us.
That's good.
And that's kind of the place where we're stirring, right? And that's why
Yeah.
it's not as simple as saying A plus B equals C, like, oh, well, they had everything, they plot twist, they did it just because. No, there's
yeah.
deeper there. There's something deeper there.
Absolutely.
So moving on. So when did we first start realizing having what we wanted didn't mean that we were living aligned? So I think the reason why we weren't content where we were was because we had that inner call. We felt something deeper inside of us calling us forward, that we weren't really meant to stay there in that place that was comfortable for us, but rather to step out into discomfort for others.
Wow, yeah. There's like this holy restlessness that, because I have felt, and I know the difference in my body between restless of like I'm bored,
Yeah.
which is something that for me in my spiritual practices, like constantly I have to come back to like a spiritual sobriety
Yeah.
of like stillness and contentment in the Lord, that no matter what is happening in my surrounding, like in currently in my life, that God is good.
Wow.
And then I'm in the palm of his hand. And then there's a Holy Spirit restlessness of something that just is like, it just comes up and it comes up again and it comes up again. And it started for me from like childhood of like
Wow.
going out into the unknown. And I really desired to be a missionary.
Wow.
I really wanted to come to Africa. Like that's why like even being in Northern Africa right now, it feels like I'm making, 8-year-old Crystal really proud, because this was but a dream, for her. And now we're here.
So I'm really glad you said that,
Yes.
because like, why do we do that, right? We kind of grow up, like we feel like we have this really authentic place when we're young because we
Yes.
don't have any world opinions on it. It's just kind of who we are.
Yes.
But we grow up, we kind of progress in life, we get a job,
Yes.
we keep moving forward in that job, and then now you feel like you're kind of, secure in that job, but you're also stuck in that job.
There's also these limitations. I think as a child, you dream without limitations.
Yeah.
You dream with full expectancy. And I believe that place was something that I had to reclaim.
Yeah.
I think for both of us was that we can be playful, we can risk,
Yeah.
and that there is this audaciousness in being in this reverence of beholding a great and good God that has called us forward.
Yeah.
And in that forwardness, it's like paying attention. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I have to realize that this is something that's not going away, that this is for now.
So I think that's the place for me where I really realized that where we were in our former season wasn't fully aligned with who we're called to become.
Yes.
Because I find that, when we kind of grow up, right, we get into a job, we get into a rhythm, we get into a routine, and then you kind of stop dreaming of what's next, what's possible. You kind of just get kind of in this place where you're climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
Right? And you're just looking at the next thing in front of you, and you're just trying to do the best you can.
Yeah. We get comfortable in the status quo.
You get comfortable in the status quo, but you also really don't have time to look up. Like you're still climbing.
Yes.
And, I feel like there was a little bit of a gift, and maybe not a gift, in that in my previous job, I felt like I kind of reached the pinnacle of as far as I wanted to go in my job.
Yes.
I kind of reached that top. And in that place, there's this moment where you pause and you say, okay, is my life really aligned with what I set out for when I, from the time I was young until now, and like, what is God calling me to? Is like this is this it?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that also, because it wasn't the top for your career,
Right.
but it was as far as you wanted to go, in
Yes.
order, because now it was like the base of, this was a good life.
Yeah.
And anything higher would now take away from family life.
Yeah.
And it was like this holistic approach. There wasn't just work life, there was family. And it was holistic. And for you, you didn't want to go any higher because now that would impede on family life. And I really honor that.
Yeah.
But I know that you're a natural born achiever.
Yeah.
And like you love a challenge. And so even though that was like a decision that was made from conviction, it wasn't still there's something for you to like the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I like to say a promotion at work is not always a promotion at life.
Yes.
And it tends to be the higher you go in something,
Yes.
the more time it requires of you. And I had reached a point where I said, okay, this is as high as I want to go, because holistically looking at my life, you know, this is kind of where I want to be.
Yeah. You know, from the outside looking in, it's like you made it.
Yeah.
I think as a, you know, an educated, upward mobile, you know, man who just turned 40 and, you know, has a, you know, beautiful wife and 3 healthy children. And we get to travel and, you know, in America, it's the American dream. It's the American dream. And for us to also have like a really healthy marriage. Like we weren't trying to shake things up because something wasn't
It wasn't because something was wrong. It was because everything was right.
Everything was right. Yeah. And I think it's from that place of health that we've both also done that. None of that just happened either.
Right. It's cultivated.
It was cultivated like a good flourishing garden for both of us. And that is grace. Like that is grace and mercy from the Lord. 1,000%. It was also a lot of intention on both of our parts.
That got us here.
That got us here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So now I want to dive in a little bit and just name that restlessness.
Okay.
So when we felt like something was missing or something was misaligned, what did that actually look like? What did that actually feel like? What was it like for you? Go back to that moment.
Well, I have to say this. I'm a visionary. And I'm able to see things ahead of, like, before it's time.
Yeah.
And I'm also an idealist. And so I am ahead in things, in vision, than perhaps sometimes you are.
That's true.
And so I feel like I have felt this journey that it was possible and able. Like before we were actually able to make this happen.
Yeah.
Because of circumstances.
Yeah.
And so I've been in a season of waiting.
Yes.
For a very long time.
Yeah.
Because I thought that we would have stepped out when we left England in 2017.
Wow.
So I was, you know, with All of Us Matter, or it was a artisanal cup business, coffee cups, where we partnered with artisans globally, and the funds or the proceeds from that went to organizations that were fighting human trafficking. And I was ready to step into like mission business, be missionaries then.
Wow.
And when that didn't happen, I had to literally go through a process of letting go of a dream and the like illusion that I had created. And I believe that it's from releasing, from like dying to what I thought was going to be life. And a fruitful life, letting that go.
Wow.
And that was like a whole process for me. And I feel like, you know, in scripture, there's so many beautiful metaphors of like, you know, the grape has to be crushed in order for the wine.
Wow.
You know, the wheat has to be, it has to go through the threshing floor before it can make bread.
Wow.
You know, like the seed has to be, like a seed is broken and then comes forth, you know, life and growth.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there was so many things that I had to die to in order to get to this place, that I wouldn't make any of this about me. But this is solely like whatever you see that is good in our life is a reflection of God. And that is really important to say, because that is like, you know, That's the truth.
I love that you talked about the process. Because I think that's the bit that I think I've been afraid to admit even to myself, which is this grace for process. Because, you talked about how you saw kind of vision back in 2017 and it's now 2026, right?
Yeah.
That's a long time of waiting.
Yeah.
That's a long time of process. And it has been an inner journey within me to get to the place where I felt I was able to step out. And that feels a little vulnerable, right? That feels a little bit like, oh, you lost time. But I love how you highlighted that you don't lose time because everything we see in Scripture is there's process. There's this kind of inner formation before it's expressed outwardly.
Yeah.
And I believe that it is the right time because there's so much depth in it now.
Yeah.
I think it would have been more surface if we stepped out back then because we weren't formed as much. We didn't realize how important this was. We didn't realize the gravity of what we were stepping into.
Yes.
But when you're formed on the inside, the difference is you can look at all of the things that other people's opinions and all of this, oh, but they have teenagers. Oh, but they had, this good life, or oh, they had this. But you know what? It's not aligned with who God created me to be. And that's an inside thing. That's something that I don't get from the outside. That's something I express from the inside out.
Yeah.
And that's the shift, right? That's the moment where we knew this is the way forward. And nobody can tell us otherwise because you're giving the perspective from your circumstances. You're giving the perspective from your life experience. But that's right for your situation. The only thing that's right for my situation is my time spending, is time with God in prayer and really looking within me and saying, okay, what do I truly believe? What do I know? Who am I? And what am I called to do in this life?
Yeah. And those lessons can be for anybody. Because I think as we're talking, I'm thinking about Joseph and how Joseph had a dream. And in his naivete, and probably some other things, he goes to his family and he's like, I saw you bowing down to me.
Yeah.
Not once, but twice.
Yeah.
In different
Apparently,
forms.
I'm the heir to this household. Don't matter what y'all be thinking.
Yeah. And Joseph went through a process. And so I feel like there's process and we don't like the messy,
we don't
middle.
We don't like being in process. We just want it now.
Yeah. And perspective is also, it's, you have to, when you're in the middle of it, it's really hard to understand.
It's not too late.
No, but it's looking back that you're like, oh, I had to go through all of these things.
I wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, and all of this is for his testimony. For glory be to God. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's the shift, but how do we know this was God? Because we can get in our heads, there's a lot to navigate here, there's a lot of change. How do we know this was God and what confirmed it?
One, I'll say there is things within the natural, within the natural, and then there's the supernatural.
Yeah.
And the supernatural goes beyond logical understanding, and it's within the spirit.
Yeah.
And feeling absolutely for both of us pulled by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And that things are not coincidences anymore, but that they feel very intentional, planned, and all of the things that happened in Germany felt too much like
a coincidence to be a coincidence.
Yeah. God was making it very plain.
Yeah.
That, don't get it twisted, guys.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so we knew it was time. Do we know what the end result is?
Yeah.
No, we're currently back in a place of hands open.
Walking by faith.
Yeah. And not knowing what's on the other side, but trusting that that God, there's been so many words of knowledge that have been given to us. Rhema words, dreams and visions that there's nothing but we have to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think on that, I just believe God speaks in a lot of ways, but we don't always perceive it.
Yeah.
But if you look for God and you are sensitive to God's Spirit within you, you notice when he's getting your attention.
Yes.
And there's been so many ways that God has been getting our attention.
Yes.
And making us uncomfortable in our former season, which I said was a good season, but we were becoming increasingly uncomfortable in it.
Yes. Yes.
And there was this quickening in our heart
Yes.
for where God was leading us. And
Yeah.
I think being sensitive to that was a big way that kind of God spoke to my heart. I think another thing was I came to this realization in this process. And it was a series of things that God had kind of done to bring this, to my attention and to help me realize this in myself, which is for a lot of my life, adult life, I was kind of living from a place which I would call the curator. And the curator was somebody who kind of looks for outward affirmation. I present things to others, and through seeing myself through the lens of others, I then become kind of validated, and I begin to feel like what I'm doing is the right thing, or what I'm doing is good. And God had revealed to me, it's like, you're living as the curator, but there's a deeper and truer part of you. There's this part of you that I call conviction.
Wow.
And conviction is kind of the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Conviction is looking within yourself.
Yeah.
What do you believe? Who has God made you to be? Who are you? Independent of the world's opinions, independent of any expectations, independent of fears, independent of all of these outside forces. Who are you?
Wow.
And how are you expressing that to the world?
Wow.
And that shift from curator to conviction. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have ups and downs, I don't have human moments, but I made a rule, I made a pact with myself that when I make decisions, big decisions, life guiding decisions, I don't make them from the place of the curator, I make them from the place of conviction. Wow. And I trust and believe that no matter what the outcome, because the outcomes belong to God, I don't control a single outcome.
Yes.
I have faithfulness in my execution and stewardship, and I have excellence in what I do, but the outcomes belong to God. And I just trust that if I am moving forward from this place of conviction, that it doesn't matter what the outcome is, I authentically expressed who I am to the world.
Yeah.
I authentically followed that.
Wow.
And I believe that within me is how I know that we're on the right path.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. Mic drop. That's good. That's really good. Yeah. Deep calls to deep.
Yeah.
Like it says in the Psalms.
Yeah.
And it's like that, that he is with us in the depth. Because I think that, is it, man, I have to go back and look, but is that also the scriptures where it's like, you are with me in like Sheol?
Even in the depths of the grave,
yes,
or the heights of heaven, God is there.
God is there.
There's no place where God is not with you.
Yeah, and it's like to even like see those like shadow places in ourselves, and to be confronted with them, that's like what was leading us to make like life decisions, big or small.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, like I need your heart posture. I need you to look at me, like look at me, and that's good.
But there's a paradox in that, right? Because you're walking this out with authenticity, but there's real cost.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of those costs.
Yes.
What do we know this decision would cost us? And what were we most afraid to lose?
I would say when we spoke to people, I have a deep need to be understood. Like that I'm using, I neither can confirm nor deny that I have ADHD.
What were we talking about?
What were we talking about? And so my thoughts, like sometimes I have spaghetti brain, right? And like when I go to speak, sometimes I like will totally get squirrel brain, and like I get distracted and I move to something else. And at the end of a conversation or even in the middle, I'm like, hold on, am I being clear? Was I clear? Did I just jump? And so I have this deep need to be understood. And then I'm also using clarifying language.
Yeah.
And so when I would go to speak to somebody about this journey, sometimes I would just get like blank stares. Like I do not compute.
There
I
was
do
there was no
not
there was no there was
understand.
no paradigm for somebody to understand what we're doing
Yes.
because it's not for everybody.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was probably really difficult. But like in
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah, I don't even know if I've like come to fully process what that was because I'm such a hype girl.
Yeah.
Also, that like if somebody shares a dream with me, probably because I am a dreamer,
Yeah.
like I just want to get behind it.
Yeah.
Like get it. I want to be like the wind beneath your wings, you know, even though like I'll give that to God. But like
Yeah.
that's something that to have like the blank stares and like the
Yeah.
do not compute
Yeah.
was difficult for me, and not to
Yeah.
have, you know, like that type of
Yeah.
support.
So for the cost, was it like a feeling of rejection?
No. No, that's too deep.
Hmm.
Just like I'm in the arena.
You're in the arena.
I'm in the arena and no one's cheering.
And there's stakes in the arena,
Yes.
right? You're laying it on the line and there's nobody that sees you.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really
Wow.
this is the second time I feel like I want to cry in like this in this talk.
We're the
didn't expect that.
champions. We're the people who get behind you.
Yeah, and that I think is probably
Yeah.
yeah, to be in the arena, to know that you have to face the difficult things, that you have to
Yeah.
make the choices that you feel such strong conviction for,
Yeah.
and not having you know, the support like that
Yeah.
you really, you know, and like there are people, you know, that like
God has brought people in our life, but
yes,
you're talking
absolutely.
about, it's not always the case.
It's not always the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably one of the costs. And then there's like the, you know, like the simple things like materialistic things. Like
Yeah.
I love pretty things.
Yeah.
And not having like a set income coming in.
Yeah.
You know, where before, you know, made such an income that
You don't have to worry about it.
we didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You know, we could buy the things that we wanted to
Now it's
buy,
like,
or and
can I afford that?
yeah.
Or do I have space for that?
Yeah, that is probably the biggest thing right now, is like, do we have space in the RV to host, like house any of that, like
Yeah.
store it, but also like, do we we're obviously not in the same financial or income bracket
Yeah.
that we used to be.
Yeah.
And that also has been like a letting go and trusting in God.
Was that harder than you expected?
Yes.
How so?
Well, like I said, I like pretty things. And, you know, retail therapy is for reals, you know? And so that's, you know, and being on and going to all of these places, like we're in Morocco, and the textiles, like we haven't even gone to a Medina yet, or like to a souk,
Yeah.
because we just haven't gone yet, and we've been here for what, a week and a half. And I'm like, you see no pillows behind us. Well, there's one behind me, but I'm so itching
Yeah.
to like.
we want rugs, we want tapestries.
And this is our third
we want
time in
pillows.
Morocco,
We don't
and
got space for any, and we don't got money for any of it. I've been trying to tell her about it.
Oh my gosh, I want all of the things. So that's like my hands are open, Lord. Purify me. Because
It's part of the process. It's
Yeah.
part of the process. And it's beautiful to step out in faith and trust.
yeah, but I know like my people can feel that. Like I hope you feel that, especially my sisters. Like know that I'm walking in faith. If not for that simple thing.
Solidarity. Okay, so with that, talking about the sisters, what would we say for someone else who's feeling these same stirrings in their heart?
Do it. Like I'm joking, not joking about all the other stuff, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
when it comes down to like the brass tacks of it, to feel like we are in God's will. There's no price tag you can put on that. There's no affirmation from anyone outside that can give us. But like this peace within our hearts that we're like on the right track. And don't get me wrong, like I'm, there's times where I don't want to live in 200 square feet anymore.
We have that much square footage?
Oh, is it less?
I don't know.
It's probably less.
Yeah.
It's probably less. But there is like this, we're both in unity as well. Yeah. And there's a grace for this journey. That is for sure. Yeah. Like there's a grace. And it was my sister who said, because I was, worried about the kids. Yeah. Because it's just not us on this journey. We have a 16-year-old, we have a 13-year-old, and we have an 11-year-old. And there is, my sister said, if God has called you to this, then he will also give grace for your kids, in this. And that was a piece in it. Not a piece, like a puzzle piece, but like
there's
peace,
inner peace.
like shalom.
There's grace for you. There's grace for your family.
There's grace for your family.
Yeah.
And that is, like the way that our kids are growing in depth.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You think about skills of this generation with AI and everything changing so rapidly.
Yeah.
You want your kids to be resilient.
Yes.
You want them to be adaptable.
Yes.
You want them to have grit.
Yes.
You want them to know how to learn. You want them to have perspective. And
also to hear God's voice.
Yeah.
And I mean, partly I'm jealous of my own children, of the parents that they have, because...
And the intentional time we've been able to have on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Our conversations... are conversations that are just rich and colorful. Yeah. And they get to ask questions and they get to test things and they get to, and we're also getting to know each other.
Yeah, in a deeper way.
Yeah, like they get to know us in a deeper way. Yeah. So rich, yeah.
Man.
I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful.
Good. It's so good. I think something that was really helpful for me was I randomly watched interviews of people who were later in life, let's say 80, 90 years old. And they were asking them, what is one piece of advice you'd have for younger you? And something that kept coming up, it was kind of a common theme, is they said, we very rarely regretted anything we did in life, whether it turned out good or bad. But we always regretted the things we didn't do.
Yeah, wow.
And I think looking at your life, this is advice for someone else in our similar situation where you feel this stirring in your heart. I think being at the end of your life and looking back and having the question, what if? What if I would have stepped out and did that thing? And to never know. And to have the weight of regret. Because they say failure weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Wow. And I think... when you really look at what would keep you from stepping out, it's fear, it's other people's opinions, it's maybe your circumstances. But none of that begins within your heart and what God is speaking to your heart.
Yes.
And it's this shift of inwardly saying, okay, what really, really matters? What is God really calling me to do and become in this life? And how, you only get one life. How do I radically and passionately and boldly pursue that and step into the arena? And I don't believe at the end of my life, no matter how this turns out, I'll regret having gone for it.
Wow.
So
that's good. That makes me want to cry too.
It's an emotional episode.
It's an emotional episode. Like this is, yeah, that's good. I will never regret this either.
So the other thing I want to touch on is, for somebody in this situation, what should they absolutely not do? What should they not do if they feel these same stirrings?
Not do it.
Okay. But that's hard because they're weighing their circumstances. Like, I'm in a job.
Yeah.
I've got debt. I've got we had all of those things. Yeah.
Like
all of those things. We had all of that.
I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Is that, sometimes in this world of online, you see the end, but you don't see all of the work that it took behind the scenes, all of the process. And this is really important that more people share the in process and open the door up. It kind of reminds me of like, I think it was Michelangelo who wanted upon his death for like all of his sketches to be burned.
Yeah.
And like all of the, like the things that didn't work out.
Yeah. Didn't meet his taste and expectation, what his ideal of what he wanted to express to the world.
Yes. He was a master.
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I got a chance to go to see the statue of David, which is
Uffizio or
it's
the
in Florence.
Academy.
It's in Florence, the Accademia in Florence, and it's a masterpiece. People from all over the world go to see it, and this is like one of his most incredible works.
Yeah.
But one thing I was impressed by it, but one thing I was more impressed by, is as you walk up to the statue, there's a corridor, and on each side of the corridor, there's these statues, these stone statues, and all of them are unfinished. And you have like a slab of stone, and there's like part of a man coming out, or there's an arm coming out, or there's part of a face. And it just showed that in order to get to the statue to be able to for him to create, basically express that work of David in his life, there was a long process to get there. And also something he believed was he wasn't actually creating the statue. He was revealing it. It was already within the stone. And I think that's a powerful thing to remember, is this life that God has placed in your heart, you're not creating it. You're cutting away the parts that don't represent that. You're moving towards something that's already there. And what you're doing is you're removing the dirt. You're removing all the pieces of your life that aren't aligned with that vision, that call that God's already placed in your heart. And I think you see that in this Renaissance art, but it's a timeless truth, because it's the process of stepping into what we are ultimately called to do in this life. And as Christians, that has eternal value, that has eternal worth, that has eternal impact. So what you should not do is not listen to that calling that God's stirring in your heart. So with that, what has this process taught us about comfort, calling, and surrender?
Do I have mascara on my eyes?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, you cry a little bit. Okay, you're good now.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
For surrender, for me, I've always had this image of, we went to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that.
Yep.
And we went to go learn how to hang glide.
Yep.
And this was before kids.
Yeah.
And you have to like do so many trainings before you can actually go out by yourself to hang glide.
Yeah.
And if you've never seen hang gliding, maybe we'll put a picture. You can Google it later. But it's like this massive kite, and there's like this bar across it. And we went out to the sand dunes, and there's these two instructors, and we went one at a time. And you lay down on the ground. This is for the training. And you lay down, and then your arms are extended, and you're holding on to a bar. And there was these two instructors on either side of me. Oh, I should leave this right here on my on either side of me. And they're holding on to ropes, and they're saying like, "We've got you." And they're like, "Just lightly hold on to the pole." And I'm like, "Okay." And I white knuckle, and he tells me, "Don't white knuckle. We've got you."
Wow.
And he has to tell me a few times. He's like, when I see the whites of your knuckles, like I know that you're holding on really tightly, and that this process won't work.
Yeah.
And so for me, that has been a constant
That's
image, for me, of like when I'm white knuckling to life, when I'm trying to control the outcome, my surroundings, the situation.
Wow.
I can't trust the Lord.
Wow.
He's got me.
Wow.
This won't work. I cannot fly.
You almost can't cross that threshold if you're holding on too tight.
Yeah, I can't soar.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, like I have to, there just has to be this trust, blind faith that like I'm going to get like, you know, the air beneath my wings.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
we're going to take off.
I'm going to see some really cool things at heights that I could not imagine.
Wow.
But I have to trust the process.
Wow. That's good.
Yes.
Man, that's good. So with that, I think that's just another mic drop.
I like this.
This is fun.
Like this long form kind of conversation.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Share in the
Yeah.
comments. Did you enjoy this?
Did you enjoy it? I really enjoyed it. I don't.
Yeah.
I think I just want to keep coming on, and even if no one watches,
Yeah.
like, I just.
But if you like it, let us know.
Yeah. Please let us know. That would be nice because we're in the arena with like dust on our face.
That's
and
right. We're doing it. Moroccan dust
We're doing it dirty.
in Morocco. Okay. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
See you later.
All right.
Ciao.